Good morning, children. English lesson, grade 11, module 1, lesson 2. The theme of the lesson, modern genetics. Learning objectives. Use a wide range of vocabulary which is appropriate to topic and genre and which is spelled accurately. Understand specific information and detail in extended texts on a wide range of familiar and unfamiliar general and curricular topics. Use appropriate subject-specific vocabulary and syntax to talk about a range of familiar and some unfamiliar general and curricular topics. Assessment criteria. Learners will be able to talk about Gregor Mendel, to discover the fundamental principles of inheritance, to differentiate an adjective complements in the sentences. Let's study new words to the topic with their definitions. Allele, different forms of a gene, constricted, narrowed, made small. Gamete, a sex cell, sperm, eggs. Genotype, genetic makeup of an organism. Heredity, passing of traits from parents to offspring. Heterozygous, an organism that has two different alleles for a trait. Homozygous, an organism that has two identical alleles for a trait. Offspring, children. Phenotype, the physical appearance of a trait. Pod, food. Seed, the plant structure that contains a young plant inside a protective covering. Segregation, separation of alleles during gamete formation. Stem, supporting structure that connects roots and leaves and carries water and nutrients between them. Children, you may also practice these new words with their definitions with cards in Quizlet. There is given a reference to this Quizlet. Have you ever heard or have you ever wondered why one person in your family has freckles or another has curly hair? To understand this, we need to understand inheritance and how genetic information is passed from one generation to the next. For that, we have to turn to the father of genetics, Gregor Mendel. Now let's do task 1. There are given questions. Try to give your own answers to these questions. Who was Gregor Mendel? That's right. Why did he choose pea plant for his experiments? Tremendous. Why is he considered to be the father of genetics? So, what do you think? Yes, good thinking. In order to get more detailed information, please listen or read the text again. Let's do task 2. There is given a diagram. Mendel decided to look at seven different pea plant traits: height, seed color, seed shape, pot color, pot shape, flower position, and flower color. So your task is looking at the diagram, fill in the words stem, pod, seed, and flower. Pod, seed, flower, I use it twice. So 30 seconds will be enough for you to do this task. So you may put down your answers on your exercise books. Let's read the text. Mendel's piece, Inheritance Explained. While reading, mark the sentences from 1 to 5 as T, true, F, false, or D, S, doesn't say. I'll give you a minute to do this task. Okay, I think that you have done this task. So while reading, you've come across with Gregor Mendel's law of inheritance. Based on a mathematical analysis of the results of his experiments, he was confident to reach 3 conclusions. First, each trait is dependent on genes which are passed on unchanged. Second, one gene for each trait is inherited from each parent. Thirdly, some traits may not be apparent in an individual but can be passed on to the next generation. So it is explained and concluded in the chart with the laws of Gregor Mendel. Your task is look through this chart or table and discuss the law of inheritance to the class or to each other. So I'll give you a minute to discuss it. Okay, now let's study grammar. Adjective complements. What is an adjective complement? An adjective complement is a phrase that gives extra information about an adjective. It can be infinitive phrase or a noun clause. What is infinitive phrase? Infinitive phrases consists of to plus the base form of the verb and any modifiers or objects that relate to the verb. For example, I'm very pleased to meet you. To meet you is an infinitive phrase. The teacher seemed keen to start the lesson. To start the lesson is an infinitive phrase. Noun clause. Noun clauses function as nouns. They have a subject and a verb, but they aren't complete sentences. A noun clause starts with that, who, if, what, when, why, whether, etc. For example, I'm disappointed that I failed the test. That I failed the test is a noun clause. He was upset when his laptop broke down. When his laptop broke down is a noun clause. And to practice this grammar item, you have to do exercises 7 and 8 and page 9 from your student's book. In exercise 7, you have to find examples in the text with infinitive phrase and noun clause. In exercise 8, the task is match two columns to form complete sentences. So children, let's conclude our lesson. Today you've learned about the scientist Gregor Mendel and about his laws of inheritance and his experiments. You also will be able to differentiate adjective complements in the text. The learning task for you: collect more information about Gregor Mendel and his experiments, theories. Prepare and give the class a presentation. The lesson is over. Goodbye.